Hi, business student. Today we are going to have a look at the operations unit, and we are going to start by having a look at production processes. We are going to talk about job batch and flow production, which are the main methods of production that you need to know about. We're going to talk about automation and computers and robotics and their role in production and providing goods and services. And we're going to talk about what the influences on businesses that might make them choose one type of production over another, and whether they would choose to use automation and computerization and robotics or not. Okay, let's have a look then. Okay, first off, we're going to learn about job production. So, job production is where a business makes one off specialized products made to the customer's order. These products are high quality. They are made to the exact customer specification. For example, it could be a wedding cake, a bespoke suit, or the typical business studies GCSE example that we always talk about, a wedding dress. The advantages of using this type of production, the advantages of using job production are it is high quality. The goods are made to a very high standard using very highly skilled workers, and it can be customized. The product, whether it's a suit or a cake or a piece of artwork, can be customized to the exact customer's requirements. You can therefore then, as a business, charge a higher price for that product because customers are willing to pay more because it is such high quality and it is made exactly how they would like it. For example, a table and chairs that the customer has ordered and requested a certain size, certain design. This leads to workers feeling much more motivated because they're using their skills, they're being challenged every day, they're doing something different all the time, and they don't get bored. The disadvantages, however, are it's time consuming, it takes a long time to make one off bespoke products, and your labour is all going into making that one product for that one customer. So it makes it very expensive to produce. It's very labour intensive and it therefore costs a lot to make. And you will need to reflect that in your selling price. So, the main advantages of job production are very high quality products made to customers' requirements. Disadvantages takes a lot of time and it can be really expensive. Okay, next up, batch production. So, batch production is where we make batches of products, small groups of identical products that are made together, and then the business moves on to producing a different batch of goods. For example, classic GCSE business example, the bakery baking 100 loaves of bread of the same type, then maybe cleaning up your equipment and moving on to a different type of bread and making a different type of loaf. The example I very often talk about is in Greggs. They turn up in the morning, fire up the ovens, and they put in 100 sausage rolls. Then they change over, and then they're going to make 100 margherita pizza slices. Then they change over, and then they're going to make 100 chicken bakes. Things are made in batches. So you make groups of the same identical product, but small batches of that product. Advantages: it's lower unit cost than job production. Remember, if you're talking about comparing job batch and flow, or you're asked for the characteristics of job batch and flow, you say compared to. So it's lower unit cost compared to job production. And it's flexible. You can switch up the product you're going to make. You use the same equipment, but you can make different products. So an example I've got here for you, I've got this gorgeous Prada perfume. The factory that day will have turned on the machinery and said, today we're making this Prada perfume. Tomorrow we will use our equipment and our machinery to make a different type of perfume or a different cosmetic. We're making things in this batch. The example that you can see on the screen is paint colours. So the business will make a batch of paint colours, and then they will change up and make a different batch of paint colour. The disadvantages are we're swapping up. So there's going to be some downtime when our machinery is down while we're swapping over to make a batch of something else. There's going to be a bit of downtime, so it's not continuous production. And there could be possible waste. If we make too much of one batch that wasn't required, it could lead to waste if that batch didn't get sold. Right, finally, next up is flow production. So flow production is where goods are produced continuously on a production line. You can say things like production is continuous 24/7, identical products being made in mass quantities coming off a production line. The classic example, and I've got a prop here for you, the can of fizzy drink or bottling fizzy drinks, or any of the products that we know, mass consumer products that are identical, that are produced in high volume. So maybe packets of crisps might be made in a production line. Maybe some clothing garments might be made on a production line. Continuous, fast production of identical products. The advantages are it's very efficient, low unit cost. It costs not much to produce, or it costs less to produce each item than using job or batch production. It's suitable for mass production and it's faster than job and flow. Don't say it is fast. Fast compared to what? It is faster than job and flow production. Batch production is slower than flow production. Disadvantages are it costs a lot to set up a big factory with lots of machinery. It's very capital intensive. That means it takes a lot of money. And the workers that you have on your production line can easily get bored and demotivated because they're generally doing the same job all of the time for possibly 6-8 hours a day. Okay, what's the impact on businesses then? So flow production is the cheapest per unit, but it's very expensive to set up. Job production is very expensive to make one particular product. However, you can charge a much higher price to the customer. Quality. So job production offers the highest quality and uniqueness and customization to customers' individual needs. However, flow focuses on quantity and efficiency and reducing the cost of making one item. So the suitability, which one a business chooses, will really depend on the product type, the type of items they're making, and the demand. If there's a very high demand for the product and they're going to be selling thousands and thousands of units, the business might look at using flow production because they can produce many more units at a lower unit cost. However, that wouldn't be suitable for designer clothes or one-off bespoke items because job production would be better for that. Flexibility. So job and batch production are much more flexible around the customer's needs. Okay, so automation. What's the influence of technology on production? Automation means using machines to carry out tasks without human input. So the pros of this are we can make products much, much faster than when there is a lot of labour involved, a lot of people involved, and there is a reduced human error, lower labour costs. You can pay less for your employees because you have less employees because machines and automation are doing most of the job. Problem, it costs a lot of money to set up. These machines don't come for free and they're very expensive to start with. And you may need to lose some staff if you're replacing them with machines, which can lead to demotivation, worker resistance. People might go on strike. You might get a bad reputation as a business because you are replacing your workers with machines. Okay, computers. So computers are used in designing products, planning production, stock control. If you think about Tesco or any of the big supermarkets and the computers that they're using to manage all their stock ordering and checking the levels of stock and knowing what they've got to use next. That's a really good example of how computers are used not in production. The pros are it speeds up planning, it reduces waste, it's much more precise. You don't have to have employees checking stock levels in that example that we've just talked about. And you can have much better communication and decision making if you're using computer models and scientific decision making that comes from the use of computers, spreadsheets, software. The problems, you could be open to cybersecurity risks, which we obviously see more and more of if we look at the case study of Marks and Spencer's in very recent weeks, who have had a cyber attack and and have not been able to take orders on their website. And computers constantly need updating and staff training to be able to work them properly. Robotics, similar to automation, robotics is having programmable, easy for me to say, machines that carry out complex and repetitive tasks. The pros are they're really precise, they're consistent, they lead to good quality because of the precision, and that they're able to work in difficult and dangerous conditions, and they can work 24/7. They don't need a break. Problems, expensive. Again, a bit like automation, very expensive to buy and to fill your factory with robots. They need maintenance, and you may end up with less skilled workers because your skilled workers are being replaced by machinery. 11. Right, very best of luck. If you have a question regarding production processes, remember you need to learn about job, batch and flow. You need to know about the impacts of automation, computers and robotics on businesses, and how a business might decide what would be the best approach for them. Good luck in your exam.